The history of ETSU's physical growth reflects the growth of student life. When one walks through campus, they see a massive university full of student life. But ETSU didn't start as a lifestyle campus. It started as a small experiment in teacher education. To begin with, we go back to 1911 when ETSU was considered East Tennessee State Normal School. Normal schools existed for the sole reason of training teachers. If you were to be a student at this time, your entire life would be circled around Gilbreth Hall and Carter Hall. This is where all your classes would be, or where you'd be living, and where you'd be dining. At this time, there was no clubs and there was very few options. There was only a major focus on the essentials of survival and study. By the late 1920s and into the 40s, the school mission shifted. The school became a state college, and this is when we saw the addition of Alexander Hall, which is the training school. This is when K-12 students were brought onto campus, and college students could practice in person instead of just reading. In 1928, the old gymnasium was also built. This was built to support the school's growing athletic and physical education needs. Then came World War II. When the war ended, Samuelson Hall was built for business. This is a part that proves that ETSU was no longer just for teachers. The student body was diversifying, and the campus began to stretch towards what is now State of Franklin Road. The 1950s and the 60s were the boom years. There was a lot of veterans returning on the GI Bill, and they flooded the campus. These students were older and many were married, and there was a need for a more modern facility. This gave us Brown Hall for Sciences. By 1959, there was the first dedicated student union. Before 1959, student life was just something that happened in the hallways. But after this, a community began to facilitate. Dawson Hall was also a notable new building that was built as the administration building. This building housed the university's leadership and the growing journalism and mental hygiene programs. As the school entered the 1970s, so did the era of the mega campus. Enrollment exploded past 10,000 students, and to accommodate this, the school had to scale up. In 1974, the mini dome was built, and this was a marvel of engineering. It also signaled that ETSU was a regional powerhouse in athletics. 2 years later, the DP Cope Center was opened. The Cope Center gave the massive student body a place to belong. The campus was no longer just a school, but also a city. Finally, we look at the campus as it is today. In the last 20 years, the focus has shifted again, this time towards wellness and the arts. The CPA was built in 2003, and this was built to provide a dedicated state-of-the-art recreation center for the student body. There was also the return of football with the Green Stadium in 2017. This demonstrates that a modern university must compete for students by offering a high quality of life. Newer buildings like the Martin Center for the Arts aren't just for students, they're for the whole region. This is a representation of how ETSU is now a cultural and economic anchor of Johnson City. The school has moved from a tiny circle of buildings to a sprawling community that prioritizes students' health, creativity, and social belonging. When one looks at the timeline of ETSU, they don't just see a list of years, they see a reflection of students and community. Each phase of growth reflects a new understanding of what the student needs to succeed in a changing world. The campus grew and continues to grow only because the students' world is expanding.